Sometimes when I walk on the
Eighth grade,
tide,
that's where this really starts. My son steps onto a junior varsity court at Crescent City Christian, private school in Metairie, Louisiana. The coach there was a man named Sean Dumas, and by that point, he already turned that program into something real. 10 seasons, multiple state championships. He took a losing program and built it into a Louisiana powerhouse, one recruiting class at a time. My son didn't know it yet, but he was stepping into the middle of that bill. The guys who'd eventually become his brothers on that team, they weren't even there. Most of them were still in middle school, still years away from knowing what this world would ask of them. After that season, Dumas walked away. He left to start his own prep academy, chasing national exposure instead of just a state title. And we followed him because when a kid is that good and the coaches believe in him, you follow. It was there at the academy that his own assistant coaches pulled me aside quietly, told me my son deserved more minutes, that off the record he was already one of the best players on the roster. Nobody said it out loud where it actually mattered, on the bench, in the rotation. After we left Dumas Academy, another school came calling, Bonneville Senior High in Kenner, Louisiana. I was all in, heard a few things about their coach, but he seemed like a genuinely good guy, and I felt like the right next step was there at that school. Then, in the final hour, after everyone thought it was settled, we changed course and went back to Crescent City instead. That one decision left a scar on that man that never healed, a bitterness, a vendetta that I believe he carried for years. As far as I know, he's still the head coach at that school today. They told me my son could play at Crescent City for free. 3 years later, I was handed a bill for $15,000. This is a story of how a powerhouse got rebuilt and what it actually cost the people who believed in it. By the time it was over, it wasn't just a championship that got taken away. It was something deeper than that. Before any of this, Country Day was actually our first choice. But the offer there was an 80-20 split, that the school covers 80%, and we're still on the hook for 20% of full tuition out of pocket. That was money we simply didn't have. So instead, I sent game footage of my son directly to Sean Dumas. He was interested immediately. Just like that, my son was playing at Crescent City Christian, completely free of charge. Free until years later, when it was suddenly time to collect. Back at Crescent City, under the school's new head coach, Brandon Russ, who'd been Dumas' assistant, the program my son came back to had just gone 2-19. 2 wins the entire season the year Dumas left. But my son found himself surrounded by one of the most talented rosters in the entire state. A group of genuinely great players who all believed they were building something bigger than themselves. Sophomore year, it all came together. All state, all metro, district MVP. 23 wins, 5 losses. Top seed in the state. A hard-fought run all the way to the semifinal, loss in overtime by 2 points. The very next year, junior year, they came back and finished the job. Beat that same team that had beaten them, then beat St. Martin 71-59 for the state championship. For a moment, every sacrifice, every dollar, every mile we traveled to get there, it felt worth it. Then came out. One of the team's key players had been ruled ineligible. brought in, I believe, when the school already knew there was a problem. The state championship, the one thing that was supposed to be the untouchable, got vacated. My son and his teammates were left carrying the emotional weight of a decision that was never theirs to make. That same junior year, a serious hamstring injury sidelined him for a long stretch of the season. Even hurt, even limited, he still earned All-State honorable mention. Senior year, the injuries found him again, the hamstring, and a separate injury at the Newman tournament. And still, through all of it, he was named to the Louisiana High School All-Star team, chosen by the state's own Coaches Association. When we first came back to Crescent City, I looked at Brandon Russ directly in the eye and asked him something. I jokingly called it the Sean Dumas package. Was my son still in it? Was this still free? He looked at me and told me everything was all right. I trusted that answer enough to do something more. I personally brought other high-level players into that program. I saw a real future for those kids. I genuinely believed that they could flourish in that environment. Almost every single one of them was eventually expelled or pushed out. The school subtly insisted they owed tuition on spots that were supposed to cost nothing. Then it was my son's turn. I thought what I did was right. I wrote a letter directly to the church that runs the school, to the headmaster himself. Told me to take it there. Talk to the church leadership. They'll do right by us, he said. They still made the decision to remove my son if money wasn't paid. And then almost overnight, $15,000 appeared. My fiance and I had a portion of it ourselves, but to this day, I genuinely don't know where the rest of that money came from. I've heard rumors, nothing confirmed. All I know for certain is that it showed up fast enough for him to suit up and play the very same night. Around the same period, the school found itself in the middle of its own financial scandal. Accusations that whoever was handling the school's money had been stealing from it. Can't prove it, but I can't stop wondering if those two things were ever really separate from each other. Not long after all this, Brandon Russ was gone too, replaced mid-season. The reason given publicly was a personal matter. I don't believe that's the real reason. I believe it had more to do with how players were promised free tuition that was never actually free. That's my belief. Can't prove it. I can't shake it either. That's when I finally understood what I was actually looking at. Not a coach who lost his way. Not one bad school. Just people willing to empty out a child's soul in order to get exactly what they wanted and still call it a championship. I'm not telling this story because I need it to be controversial. I'm telling it because this is what it is, and it's what genuinely happened. To my son and to every one of his brothers who played beside him, souls got vacated right alongside that title. And most of what you just heard, nobody outside of us ever known until now.
Young niggas still waiting on their 40 acres. They give his ass, so we waiting on the law to take us. Rolling our shoulders, the pleasure from the currency. It feel like hell, that's where I'm living currently. Heroin and crack, who gave us that? It was I born with 3 strikes cause I'm black. See, this game is like chess and not pity pat. And you gotta be a king, man, you can't be a jack. Intelligence and finance where we lack. Had to get the 24s on the lack. Now picture that. Now can you picture this? Living in a world where we no longer exist. Keep shooting for your goals, nigga, don't you miss. Instead, nigga shooting just ahead. Moving targets, unguard shit. Niggas need to think before they start shit. Oh, shit.